to Living from the Inside Out. I'm your host, Esther Hunter, and I am just delighted that you tuned in to the program today. We're going to be talking about a very important subject, and that is the subject of destiny. More importantly, though, knowing how to discern when destiny moments occur in your life. So, what do I mean by destiny and destiny moments? Have you ever wondered why certain things happen in your life at a certain time? There's a Greek word for that called kairos, and that word actually means a fixed and definite time when things are brought to crisis or the decisive epoch waited for and the opportune seasonable time. Let me read that again. It says, a fixed and definite time when things are brought to crisis or climax and the decisive epoch awaited for and the opportune, seasonable time. That's what I call them destiny moments because they are opportune and they are seasonable times. In other words, there's an opportunity when something occurs in your life at a specific season in your life. And you have to know how to seize that opportunity and walk in that season with confidence. So I call them destiny moments. Destiny moments happen on a time schedule that are orchestrated by our timeless God. And so even though we have our part to play in it, we must understand that our God is greater than time. He created time as a mechanism for us to operate in. And so your destiny was created outside of the boundaries of time by our timeless God. But in order to attain everything that He has designed for you, you have to seize those moments when destiny happens, when you meet that person, when you're given that opportunity, when you're facing that challenge. How do you do that, though? How do you discern when it's a destiny moment? Or do you see your life as que sera, sera, what will be, will be? I have to say to you that your life is more significant than that. And the God who created you didn't create you just to live your life not knowing what to expect, but He has a definite plan for your life. He may not always reveal all of the details of that plan to you when you want Him to, but be assured that your life is not haphazard. Your life is strategically planned by God. So God has divinely orchestrated a time for you to receive those things that He has for you to experience certain positive things in your life. There are obstacles that come, though, that want to block that destiny, that want to stop you from moving at the momentum and the pace that God desires for you to move. And so when those obstacles and challenges come in life, you have to decide within yourself that it is not greater than your destiny. Again, I want to remind you that your destiny was not created within the boundaries of time. Your destiny was created by our timeless God. So the destiny that you have was not something that anything in time can stop, because the power of it resides in the heavenlies with God the Father, who created you for a specific purpose to accomplish a specific thing in the earth. So destiny moments, they are those moments that confirm that God's divine ability and his hope can ignite your heart. They confirm that God's ability is greater than what you're facing. But you have to make a decision or a judgment concerning God. You have to do like Sara did in Romans 9 and 9. He says, for this is the word of promise. At this time I will come, and Sara shall have a son. Now, if you're familiar with the story of Sara and Abraham in the book of Genesis in the Bible, you know that Sara was a woman who was barren her entire life. And not only was she barren, but she was at the age, far past the age for having children. She was 90 years old. And so can you imagine being told by God that you're going to have a child and you're 90? Plus, even when you were younger and of childbearing age, you weren't capable to have a child. But in that moment, when Sara was given a promise from God, she had to do something about the promise. She couldn't just meditate on the promise, even though that was a significant part of what she was doing. She had to receive the promise within her heart, and she had to make a judgment concerning the God who gave her the promise. Hebrews 11 and 11, it says, through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed and was delivered of a child when she was past age because she judged him faithful who had promised. So she made a decision about God. She said, even though it looks utterly ridiculous, even though it looks like I will never be able to have a child, I'm 90 years old. She made a decision not just about the promise, that it was attainable. She made a decision about the God who gave her the promise. She rendered a judgment concerning him, and her judgment was, God is faithful. In other words, if he promised it, he cannot fail. And so in those moments when you're given a challenge, even by God, to believe him for something, you have to decide within yourself that it is not just in your own strength that you'll accomplish what he has destined for you, but he is backing you up by giving you his promise. It says, she judged him faithful who had promised. She judged him faithful who had promised. So what do you do in the season when you're believing and have not seen the manifestation of what you're believing for? This is when your faith has to supersede any doubt or fear that opposes your promise. You may be tempted to give up. You may be tempted to faint. You may be tempted to be depressed or even to let go of the promise. But in Galatians 6 and 9 it says, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. That God is faithful and he will restore your life. God is faithful. He gives you a promise because he wants you to know that he's bigger than your problem. He gives you a promise because he wants you to see that he can do exceeding abundantly above all that you can ask or think, according to Ephesians 3:20. And so if he can do greater than you can ask or think, then what God does is he gives you a promise that challenges you to think beyond the level that you're currently thinking on. Let me say that again. God will give you a promise that challenges you to think beyond the level that you're currently thinking on, to believe beyond the level that you're currently believing on. He stretches your faith in him. He causes you to come to a point or a crisis or a climax moment, that kairos moment, where you see that this was not your plan, but it was actually God's plan working in your life all along. There are certain strategic moves that you have to sense and you have to know in your heart that you should make. There are certain steps that you have to take in certain directions, whether that's in relationships or spiritual directions or economical things. You just have to know that it's time for a change in your life, and that this is a move that you need to make in order to accomplish your life goal. I've determined this year to live my life in alignment with God's divine assignment, because that's where I access the power of God, and that's where you'll access everything that you need to actually accomplish the dream, the vision, the purpose for which you were created. And so understanding that the moves that you make, the decisions that you make, the decisions you make about God, the decisions you make about your circumstances, the decisions that you make about yourself, all have to culminate in that moment when you realize that God planned something and you have to follow his plan. Sometimes we ignore those little nudgings in our spirit that say, do this or do that. And then later on you feel like, man, I'm disappointed. I don't feel fulfilled in my decisions. It's because those feelings come because your spirit is aware of something that your mind or your intellect at that moment didn't comprehend or grasp. Your spirit is alert to the Spirit of God, especially if you're a born again Christian. Your spirit is aware of God's plan, but you have to be able to bring those insights and revelations from out of the spirit realm into your natural everyday life in order to fulfill them. But how do you do that? I'm talking about getting in connection with God in such a way through prayer, through meditation on His Word, through keeping a consistent communication with Him, through keeping your heart open to His direction. By doing that, it helps that revelation that's within your spirit to become prevalent in your mind so that you can strategically walk out the plan of God. And so there are times in life when you're in the right place at the right time and something supernatural happens. And you look back on it and you say, oh my God, how did that happen? That was a destiny moment. You were where you were supposed to be, doing what you were supposed to be doing, and God in His sovereignty, God in His all-knowingness, God in His omniscience, God in His powerfulness, God in His divine ability brought you to that moment, and now it was something that He planned, but it became alive inside of you. Your life was illuminated with the knowledge of God. Destiny moments are designed by God to reaffirm that you're on the right path. Because sometimes you can be walking your life out and experiencing certain things, and you begin to wonder, okay, what is going on? Especially when things happen that you did not anticipate. Negative circumstances, situations, things that we would consider setbacks, or even sometimes you may look at them as failures or defeats, but you must understand as a child of God, you're never defeated, really. Knocked down but not out. You have the power, the presence of God on your life. But there are circumstances that come to deter you from the direction that God has for you to completely fulfilling His purpose for your life. And it is during those times that you have to decide that you're going to stay in sync with the plan of God by seeking Him. He says, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So I'm not talking about just experiencing supernatural things that give you tangible things as a result, even though that is a part of the benefit package you have as a Christian. But I'm talking about having the fulfillment of knowing that you're doing what God created you to do. There's absolutely nothing like it. There's nothing like fulfilling your purpose. Nothing can bring into your soul and into your heart that peace and that reassurance as when you have destiny moments that signify to you, you know what? I got it right this time. I'm in the right place. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Destiny moments. Destiny moments. Don't make the mistake of thinking that you will always see something spectacular while you're taking destiny steps. So when I say you're in the right place at the right time and something supernatural happens, I'm not necessarily talking about something spectacular happening. I'm talking about you're going along, you meet somebody, it's a connection, and all of a sudden through that connection, there's a ripple effect of positive things that happen. That was a destiny moment. It might have seemed like a casual acquaintance. It might have seemed like that you just met that person, or someone who knew someone, and all of a sudden you were connected. But really it was a destiny moment. You made a decision to be in a certain place, to go a certain place, which connected you with someone else who made a decision to be in a certain place and to go in a certain direction. And because of that connection, now other things begin to unfold in your life that bring about the results that you've been believing for so long. Those are destiny moments. They're decision-making moments. Decision-making moments. While you're talking to a friend, are you listening for the voice of God in the voice of that friend? While you're listening to that program, are you listening for confirmations and affirmations of things that are already in your heart? Destiny moments. You tuned into the radio program and you heard someone say something that lifted your spirit and encouraged you. That was a destiny moment. You were listening at the right time. You were listening to the right person, and God had something specific He wanted to say to you in that destiny moment. And so this year we're really going to focus on bringing within you those things that are within you out to impact and influence the world around you, living from the inside out. Destiny moments are very significant to you fulfilling or living out the vision that's within you. We're really, really going deep, and we're going to say that your life consists of so much more than the external things around you. Your life is divinely orchestrated by God. And so when you realize that, it causes you now to have a peace within you that you would not normally have if you did not understand that your feet are set on a path by God. Destiny moment. Embrace them.